Alright Bashers, welcome to another Quickie moment. In this one, at the moment we're doing unboxing and review for the Hosim X07. They got a hold of us, asked us if we would like to do a review on the car, and we informed that we absolutely had to be completely honest or we were not interested, and they sent us one. In this video, we're going to show you the problem and we're going to look into getting it fixed. So as you can see, back on the bench, we have this thing tore apart in the front. And what happened was, right off the bat, it ran for maybe a minute and a half at four-wheel drive, and it kicked right into two-wheel drive, and I couldn't figure out what it was. We had to tear it apart to find out what it is. Now, we've run a few batteries through it, because on asphalt, it was really hard to tell it was just in two-wheel drive, and when we got off into the rough stuff, we were just having so much fun with it that we didn't want to stop. We were going to fix whatever it was anyway. So we ran several batteries through it and had a good time, and basically it ran as two-wheel drive. But what happened was we tore it apart, and this is actually pretty easy to get apart, the differential housing and everything. What we have here is the shock tower, and it looks pretty good. It does attach right here, but it comes off as one piece, and it's a nice little housing, and it does a good job as far as that goes. And what I really like about it is, look at the gearing in this. So it has some really good gears in there. The teeth are nice and big. The drive cups are substantial for the size of the vehicle. It's really overbuilt when it comes to that. But we did have a failing in the front differential, and that's why it went two-wheel drive. And the rear differential generally takes a lot more punishment than the front differential, but it was the front that failed, and I have no idea why that happened. By the time it failed, we hadn't had any good accidents. We haven't run into anything. Everything was running as it should. We ran through the grass, we ran on the pavement, we went into some terrain, but at the same time, we didn't have any sudden stops or tumbles at that point before it went two-wheel drive. And that makes me think, well, manufacturer error. And not necessarily that, but when you make 1,000 parts of something, they don't all pass inspection, and they go through as a group, and you're like, okay, I must have got a bad one, and that's where this one seems to be. So if you take a good look at how these things really are built, they're just like all the rest of the differentials as far as that goes. So it has the 4 gears here, and those are the center gears that spin around the sun gears, and there's one in the back that's attached to this shaft, and there's one on the front that attaches to the spur gear. And the one that attached to it ruptured, and we'll get you a close-up of this, but it ruptured that, split it right down the middle, and that's what makes me think manufacturer error. I would understand if I'd gone into a really good blast, hit a post or something, but nothing like that happened, and this split right down the middle, and it does look like it might just be a defective part. Now the cool part about that is, I got on Amazon and I had a look because Hosim's on Amazon, and this is $169 for this car, and it comes with everything you need. I mean, literally everything you need. And that's really cool, but at the same time, they do have parts, so it is hobby grade. All the running we did and all the tumbling and stuff we put this thing through, it handled in stellar fashion. It cartwheeled and tumbled and came right back. We did have to walk after it a few times because it's not built like a short course truck, and it does lay on its top. It doesn't inherently roll back onto its wheels, so you do quite a bit of walking with it because it's so light and so small, it doesn't take a whole lot to get it on its top. Still, this isn't what this video is about. What it is just because something like this fails does not necessarily mean that's a ding against the company. And I know people aren't going to agree with me on this, but like I say, when you build 1,000 parts, 1 or 2 of them is going to be defective. That's usually how that works because things go by in a gross and they don't always get inspected, especially on toys, which these are. So that's kind of the way that goes. I will not fault it for that. But here's one thing I do kind of have it picks at me a little bit. And what it comes down to is, this is a Phillips screwdriver, and this is industry standard in the United States and has been for generations. But this went by the wayside quite a long time ago. We used to build RCs out of these things, but at the same time, things have changed over to the hex drivers. And hex drivers are a lot better because you don't have to have that downward force when you're trying to screw in or out, and they're a lot harder to strip out your stuff. Hex drivers really are the way to go, and this is built with the Phillips screws, and I really wish they'd switch it over to the hex drivers. It makes things a lot more, well, they're a lot easier to work on. That being said, we did get on Amazon and order the parts, and the parts for this thing, they are available, and they're not super expensive. So you can really repair this for very little money. I think the part was between $13 and $16 for the part, and that came with the housing and everything for it, and you can get it for a couple dollars cheaper the other way. If you're a Prime member, you don't pay for shipping, so that's the cost. I don't have that membership going, so I wound up paying $21 for that part because shipping added on top of it and made it a little more expensive. Still, for the cost of the vehicle, that's pretty affordable for parts. And just a reminder, it doesn't matter what you buy or who you buy it for, you're always going to run into situations like this. I've gotten cars where they show up with the speed control dead. I've had them come up where the radios don't work. I've had all kinds of random issues like this take place. And that's just the way it goes in a hobby like this. Now, could you send that in and get a warranty for it? Absolutely you could, because that is a failure within the car, and that's an internal failure, and so they should cover that. But at the same time, for that cheap cost and getting it in 3 or 4 days, that's the way to go, at least in my opinion. Now still, if you order it from Hosim instead of getting it on Amazon, where you can get it from different vendors, if you get it from them, we were out until April 4th, and right now it's like the 13th or 14th. I didn't look at the calendar this morning, so I really don't know, but still, it's right in that area. So that was a pretty long window to wait for a part, but if you get it from a local distributor, you can get them pretty quickly. As far as that goes, that's pretty much our quickie. Just remember that when you buy an RC, get one that's hobby grade so you can get parts. So if you haven't already, don't forget to bash that like button and help our content spread. You know, we love doing stuff like this, but every now and then you run into a hiccup that causes problems. Now you could take it to the hobby store and have them do it, but these are not that hard to get apart, and if you keep all your stuff separated as you take it apart, you can put it right back together nice and easy. And keep in mind, the manual does show you where everything goes, which is a nice thing. If you have anything you'd like to add to this, please feel free to get in the comments down below and help others along the way. For AJ Jam Studios, I'm AJ saying, keep wrenching.